when the world ends and the internet streams no more, we'll still be here.
Hey, Steve.
As of 2022, the last of the family video stores closed down, and my hometown was one of the ones with the final 15 stores remaining in it. I live in an incredibly rural town with an aging populace, which is probably why it stuck around for so long. The old folks in my town must not have been able to convince their grandkids to teach them how to set up their Wi-Fi and how to use Netflix or YouTube. It's probably for the best. With some of the stuff I've said on this channel, my grandma's head would implode if she had access to it. Anyway, Family Video was a chain of rental video stores, and now that they're all shut down, all I ever hear from other people my age is, "Wow, I miss Family Video." No, you don't. They wouldn't be going out of business if you loved them so much. If you really loved renting, then you'd go to the public library. They do the same thing, and it's free. But for some added context, we have an ice cream chain here, and it was mistreating the workers. So the workers unionized and bought out the store and its equipment, and are now their own local ice cream store. Happy for them. You get those workers' rights, honey. So yes, if they in fact loved rental stores so much, they could have supported them, and they would have continued to run as their own rental store without the help of the dead company. The fact is, even if they were alive and kicking again, you still wouldn't use them. You're not nostalgic for the store, or renting videos, you're nostalgic for the setting, the social experience, for going outside. Ugh. Can you believe there are still people who like going outside? I don't think you actually miss the video store. I think you miss the social experience and ritual of using and acquiring old media. That might sound weird, but as someone who collects records and listens to them, despite being born way after cassettes and CDs, I have some experience with this feeling. First though, if you're someone born recently or simply never used a video store, let me break down the experience for you as someone who was around for Blockbuster's prime, fall, and continued to use them after everyone switched to digital distribution methods. Growing up, I was in a poor family. I say growing up as if I'm still not on food stamps at 33. Don't worry, if it's up to Trump, I won't have to deal with the shame of being on them for much longer, because I'm sure his love of Reaganomics will result in poors like me losing access to superfluous funding like food money. When I was young and poor, instead of adult and poor, it was rare for me to get a new video game. Sometimes just getting the console to play the games on meant months of saving or waiting until Christmas the year after its release.
Jingle bells, Santa smells, Christmas really stunk. I got nothing that I like, my gifts were all just junk.
Boxes full of clothes,
CDs no one knows. When I wanted something for my Nintendo 64. Zelda's great, Turok 2, South Park would be fine. How about Rogue Squadron? That game should be mine.
Make up for a lame Christmas. Get the hits you missed on N64.
So games were a little hard to come by too. I'd often have to wait for them to hit the clearance bin, or more commonly, I'd go to the rental store. I went to the one that everyone went to at the time, which was Blockbuster. Rental stores back then rented not just movies, but games too. I don't remember the prices back in the day, but I want to say it was around $5 for a week for new releases, which adjusted for economic inflation, you know, the bad kind of inflation, is about $10, which does sound about right to me. I'd go in, find one game, and my mom would find a movie or TV series. I got 1 week to beat the game and return it, or my mom could pay for an extension of the same price for just a few more days. No, they wouldn't let me rent it again for another whole week for the same price, because other customers who would rent games from them might want the same game. People with money weren't renting to maximize their options for games to play like me. They were mostly using them as demos to decide if they wanted to buy the full game later. This became a more common practice once Call of Duty started doing yearly multiplayer-focused releases.
Everyone's doing it. Guys are doing it with girls. Girls are doing it with other girls. Some get together in groups and do it. Some even do it with complete strangers. Some people like to do it hardcore. Some people like to watch others doing it. Over 20 million people are doing it. Safe to say, everyone's doing it.
So if I got to rent the same game for the same price for the same amount of time, I'd have the game too long and the next person waiting in line wouldn't be able to play. Blockbuster, I think, was mostly scared that people waiting their turn would go to another video store, and there were a lot around at this time. Blockbuster was essentially the Walmart of rentals. They had everything. Stuff that just came out, classic movies, black and whites, TV shows, current-gen consoles, and last-gen too. But they were also trying to destroy local businesses, just like Walmart is, by offering more than the local stores could ever afford to, because Blockbuster got better prices on on these through exclusive deals with media companies. So yeah, they really didn't want people waiting too long, so that meant I had to beat the game in a week, or renew the rental for 3 more days, or return it. Wait for the return to be processed, go back to the shelf, and hope it wasn't taken. And it was always taken. It could have been worse though. I grew up without cable. The only times I ever watched cable TV was when we were in a hotel because we couldn't afford a home or rent. Even if hotels were more expensive, we didn't get a lot of opportunities to save. My mother was an escort. That means she was effectively hired by guys to be their date for the night. She was basically a pretty lady to make rich guys look good and make them look like they could pull tail, when in reality they were probably too busy to be able to work on their people skills. But this meant that work wasn't steady or reliable for her. It was a lot of, I guess the word would be contract work. So we spent a lot of time living in hotels, or living in her Chevy Blazer, or staying with her friends, or her pimp in the area. Kidding. He preferred the word manager. Anyway, because she couldn't afford cable when we were housed, she'd rent TV shows on VHS or DVD. But the rental stores were run by Satan, so rather than being able to rent a whole season at once, you'd only be able to rent one of the discs of the season at a time. Maybe this was just our specific store, but that meant maybe 4 to 6 episodes of a show at a time per disc. You could rent a whole season, but because our store offered them by the tape, that meant some people would rent just one of the tapes, and that meant my mom couldn't get the whole season. If you're someone who watches Netflix exclusively, imagine being able to watch The Walking Dead, but you can only view it out of order and sometimes had to miss several episodes between viewings. This worked fine for some shows, like The Simpsons and Family Guy are totally watchable out of order.
There's a delicious Subway food montage going on right behind me, isn't there? Yep, I can smell it. Well, that's gonna make it kinda hard to focus, but here we go. An ode to the Subway feast. Turkey, salami, cheese with roast beef, pepperoni and ham. Write this down, Chief. We got 'em all on freshly baked bread. The Subway feast. It's as big as my head. Beat that, Jared. Subway, eat fresh.
But if you took the narrative-driven shows of today, like the aforementioned Walking Dead, it'd be damn near unwatchable. Like one moment you're watching Rick shoot some zombies, and next rental, who's this little girl? Why is the camera focusing so much on her? Why is everyone sad that she's a zombie? Oh yeah, sorry for the 15-year-old spoiler. Availability and rental times are just 2 problems and side effects of the inconvenience of physical media, but what if I told you that's what made them special? Going in and not being able to find the movie you want meant you got to explore and check out other stuff. It meant experimenting and trying something new. You couldn't always find the current film from a series that you love, but maybe you'll find a new series to enjoy. I couldn't find one of the games I was looking for one day, so I explored a bit and discovered The Legend of Dragoon. It's one of my favorite JRPGs that I still haven't finished because I rented it and it was too long to beat in a week and couldn't afford to rent it again the following week. Then they ended up getting rid of it after that because they were getting rid of their old stock. So what happened if I rented a game but didn't want to pay for another week and didn't want to buy a new copy? Well, sometimes the store would let you buy a copy if it wasn't a new release, and it'd be a pretty good deal if you're fine with the disc having more scratches and scrapes than me after sleeping with your mother again. But the other alternative was to turn it in late or never return it, and I think I'm admitting to a pretty high crime here, but I don't think Blockbuster is going to be able to hold it against me anymore. I have rented a game before and never returned it. I know. If this changes your opinion of me, I totally understand it. But like the library, they charge you a late fee if you didn't return it on time. And often, it'd be more than the rental, again, to discourage you from doing it. But if you never returned it, it would continue to accrue a late fee, and eventually get your account locked. This would prevent you from ever being able to rent from the chain again until you paid it off. Eventually, Blockbuster realized banning customers who steal in this way isn't a good business practice, as you're banning the people who give you money.
My man was like, no more late fees? That means you never have to return your movies. I'm thinking to myself, dude, I don't think you get the concept of rent. It's not a gift. But we can take an extra week to return them. I mean, even those long, boring English films will take an extra week to watch, you know?
Renting is better than ever at the new Blockbuster. And with even more copies, these hot DVDs are guaranteed to be there. See participating stores for complete details.
Late fees in general aren't a good idea. You're punishing your most avid consumers. They also insured their media, so they made the money back regardless of whether or not you returned it. So why charge you again? Profit, that's why. When Blockbuster realized this was a bad move, they forgave all accounts with overdue accounts so that you could come back and steal again. I did this once, of course, and it wasn't even for a particularly good game. It was a GBC copy of Game & Watch Gallery.
あ、ゲームウォッチさん。
おお、近頃売れてるらしいな、ゲームボーイ君。
おかげさまで。
俺のソフトも可愛がってくれよな。
はい。
頼むよ。
4つのゲームが2つのモードで新登場。
I don't think I stole it so much as my mom didn't feel like driving back and returning it if we didn't have the cheddar to rent something else in its place. Like I said though, the rental system and availability are only one facet of this crystallized turd that was Blockbuster. When you watch a movie, what is the one thing you do to make it a more cinema-like experience? You cut a hole in the bucket of popcorn and try to get your partner to give you a handy in the theater. I'm kidding. You eat the popcorn around the penis. Typical American food. They're always adulterating it with something. Next you'll tell me that the movie theater butter isn't actually butter. So of course Blockbuster and other video rental stores would sell candy and popcorn bags in addition to the movies.
Would you believe it? My pal here has never tried Jiffy Pop, ever. Maybe his mom doesn't know how fresh Jiffy Pop tastes. Or that this foil keeps the fresh taste in until the second you eat it. But imagine going through life without ever tasting Jiffy Pop. I say it's not human. What do you say, pal?
More. Free from Jiffy Pop. Wuzzle's drinking cups. See package for details.
But of course, these were sold at a pretty decent markup. What were you going to do though? You were picking this movie up on the way home from work, and you didn't feel like stopping off at the grocery store along the way. So you paid double the price for half the amount of candy that you would have gotten at the grocery store, but had you gone to the dollar store, you'd still get a movie theater sized box, and you'd only had to pay $1. If your rental store was run by Satan, like My Family Video, then you'd have a Little Caesars pizza next door. Nothing goes better with a movie or late night gaming binge like cheap pizza. But if you went into the rental store, and you weren't feeling hungry before you went in, you would definitely leave this store feeling hungry. See, because the two stores are connected to each other, they share the same strip, as in like the same block of stores. That meant that they shared ventilation.
One hot and ready pizza, $5.
Get a hot and ready pepperoni pizza for $5 or a deep dish for $8 only at Little Caesars. Pizza.
So while you were busy looking for Naked Gun for the 5th time, you'd be subjected to the worst torture known to man. The scent of delicious cheap pizza, and the longer you spent browsing, the longer you had to smell it, and the hungrier you got. The video store didn't have just movies or games though, there was also the secret little back room behind the closed door, or sometimes a beaded curtain, the adult section. Before the internet days, you couldn't watch porn in the safety and judgment-free zone of your home. If you were a little pervert or a little freak, you had to go in person and rent Backdoor Sluts 10 in person while someone who isn't even old enough to drink rings you up. Sometimes, minors had to ring you up. Let me repeat myself. If you didn't have the adult videos you owned and wanted to crank it to something more than a dirty magazine that you had, while still horny, you had to go to a public place. Walk all the way to the back of the store, pick out an adult film with your specific kinks, and walk back to the front and hand it to a total stranger who would, at the very minimum, see the title. This total stranger would learn more about you than any stranger should ever have to. Then there would be a non-zero chance of them saying, "Hey, there's a sequel to this one coming out soon. Would you like me to set it aside for you?" Now, imagine you're a teenager who encounters their teacher in the store and sees them renting out a Catholic schoolgirl or barely legal themed adult films. This experience wasn't for just any run-of-the-mill freak. You had to be special. You had to be brave to be a gooner at this time. You had to be able to look another human in the eye and request Smoking Hot Latinas 3 on VHS. I would rather die horny than that. But the video store wasn't all bad. The good part about the experience was talking to the staff. Rental stores often gave a discount to the staff so they could stay up to date on the latest films, and if you were there with some downtime, or you were the rewind girl, you got to watch movies on the job. This meant that Kate not only saw all the newest releases, but she's even seen some obscure movies that you've never heard of, and she'd recommend them to you. Maybe there was even a gamer on staff. Mine had a guy named Brian, and while he didn't have the same niche tastes and critics palette that Kate had, or that I had, he always recommended me something fun. Even better, when the new Final Fantasy games came out, he held on to a copy for me, and I didn't even ask. But thinking back on it, it was probably my mom who asked him to do it, and she let Brian take the credit. If Kate and Brian were busy or out of new suggestions, then there's a good chance you'd encounter someone from school. See, the Blockbuster is something that people have been lately calling a watering hole. Every kind of beast had to stop there. So you'd either hide and pretend to not see them, or they'd shout your name from across the store and you'd pick out a movie together and talk about it at school together on Monday. Like a little book club, but much less formal. I'm actually trying not to cry thinking about it because it's such a good, nostalgic time for me, but that does bring me back to my main point. I think we weren't nostalgic for the store. We're nostalgic for the the social experience. With each passing day, more and more of us choose convenience. We choose the option that means we don't have to leave home and meet other people. It's cheaper to take to the 7 Seas or watch something online. You can watch it whenever you want, and you don't have to gather up all your friends every time you feel like watching something. The enjoyment of media has become an increasingly isolated and lonely experience. Even if we all get together and watch a movie over Discord, we're still 4 people at 4 different computers in our pajamas, alone, maybe talking to voices over the call. It's never been easier to hang out, but it's never been easier to be alone. The video store wouldn't fix this. You'd still choose convenience. No one wants to get in their car, spend money on gas, drive to town for 15 minutes, browse the store hoping they have what you want, spending more than you would to rent or yo-ho and a bottle of rum online, then have to worry about returning it in 4 days. You miss a public gathering place, something that gets increasingly rarer by the day. COVID took away meeting in public, old people took away skate parks, roller rinks are dying, bowling alleys are suffering, and with each year another business in my town closes down. In the past 2 years I've had GameStop, Best Buy, Family Video, and grocery stores shut down. Towns are dying. My town is dying, and we have no more watering holes left. Convenience killed them. You miss the ritual. You miss the experience. You miss it being special, an event, a rarity, an oddity to mix up your daily life. You miss the wrench being thrown in the machine of your routine. You want your media experience to be special instead of just ingesting as much as possible. If you wanted to go to a rental store, there are still red boxes everywhere. You want the human interaction that comes with it though. The reality is though, we gave Netflix too much power over our experience, and as a result, it's ruined media. Netflix at first wasn't a simple video rental service where for a small monthly fee we could watch anything we wanted that's on their service. Since they didn't have a physical storefront, they could hold more videos than any real brick and mortar store could.
Oh, hello. I'd like to tell you about Netflix. It's an amazing service that lets you watch unlimited movies and TV episodes instantly. You watch Netflix on your PC or on your TV through a game console or other devices connected to the internet.
Wow, that's fast.
Best of all, Netflix is only $8 a month. But don't listen to a beaver. Take it from the fish.
It's true. Start your free trial today.
Netflix was one of the first to offer this service too, so studios were rushing to get things on it. But as this technology became more accessible, every company decided that they could make their own app, and because they weren't using Netflix's infrastructure, they didn't have to give up any money to Netflix to host their movies on the platform. Now companies were making all the money, but the user experience got worse. It used to be that Netflix had everything you wanted, but now you need a Hulu sub for TV, Netflix for exclusives or other movies, and Disney Plus because they own everything under the damn sun. This happened once before. It was called cable. People didn't want to pay extra for channels like HBO and Starz to see more stuff, so they sailed the digital 7 Seas, or eventually bought Netflix. And once again, we are in that conundrum. But there isn't a big chance of a disruptive business to come along and free us from this again, so we do a little yar-har. With the death of rental stores, that means movie companies couldn't rely on a second release. Before video on tape, companies relied on making all their money back on the box office, the money they made while it was in theaters. The popularization of home video meant that they could get a second chance. If the box office sucked, then maybe the tape release would make a good profit. Then video rentals made that possibility a likelihood, and this was the golden age of movies for me. Movies were art that anyone could enjoy, and the art could be more experimental since they didn't need to be the best movie at the theater. Now the digital services own our media experience, they don't make as much money from us viewing it, since we aren't paying per view. This is in part why movies have been sucking eggs and ass. Egg ass, if you will.
The DVD was a huge part of our business, of our revenue stream. Technology has just made that obsolete. You could afford to not make all of your money when it played in the theater because you knew you had the DVD coming behind the release, and 6 months later you'd get, a whole nother chunk. It would be like reopening the movie almost. And when that went away, that changed the type of movies that we could make. I did this movie Behind the Candelabra, and I talked to a studio executive who explained it was a $25 million movie. I would have to put that much into print and advertising, right, to market it. So now I'm in $50 million. I have to split everything I get with the exhibitor, right, the people who own the movie theaters. So I would have to make $100 million before I got into profit. That's suddenly a massive gamble in a way that it wasn't in the 1990s when they were making all those kind of movies, the kind of movies that I loved. And
Now, the success of movies hinges on its box office performance, again, which means a focus on massive budgets and taking advantage of that massive screen. Who cares if the story is good or entertaining if there are constant flashing lights and explosions and superheroes from your favorite comics that you've never read being waved in your face like car keys jingling in front of a toddler? The theater is an experience first, yet every so often a great low-budget film will come along and do numbers like Parasite or Longlegs, who make 10 to 20 times their budget back, and Disney keeps jingling its nostalgia keys in our faces thinking that the spectacle makes the movie. We did this to ourselves, but we really had no way of knowing this was going to happen. So how do we fix this? How do we make media special again? You can start by canceling your subscriptions to digital movie apps and go back to sailing the digital seas, but maybe buy a DVD now and then as well. Most towns still have a library, and your local library will lend out books, movies, manga, anime, games, and all sorts of stuff, and they do it for free. A lot of them have audiobooks, if you're the person who doesn't like to read. If you really like the rental store experience, go to a library and support them. Your local library is the last remaining watering hole. They even hold events at them still. I think if you want your media to be special again, rather than just ingesting it, then you need to be comfortable with a little bit of inconvenience. Grab a friend, go to the library, rent a movie, then come back home and watch it on the couch. You don't even need to go to the library. Just give media your full attention again and make it special again. Make it an event. I live with 3 amazing people, and every day we get on a Discord call and watch YouTube videos or movies while we eat. We're in the same house. Why do we watch media like this? It's made all the worse by us browsing on our phones while watching and stopping the movie every 30 minutes to ask a question that the movie already answered. I think we need to go back to the days of the home theater. I think I need to grab Blythe, Rook, and Connie and sit down on our bed and watch a movie together. Actually, together. We need to go out, pick something, come back, and watch it. We need to cook popcorn, get candy, turn off our phones, climb into bed, and watch something together. To perform our little rituals once again without distractions, and I think that means I have to go outside. Crazy how this video started out with a simple tweet and turned into a 20-minute video. Maybe I'm better cut out for this commentary game than I thought. If you liked the video, then punch your little brother, then the like button. Consider subbing for more yapping, and check out my Patreon, memberships, or merch, all of which support me and help make my videos better, like this. I've been thinking of adding movie reactions with Blythe, Rook, and Connie to my Patreon. If I do end up following my own advice and watching media more intimately, in a sense that it's just me in the movie, this probably won't happen because we won't be sitting at our computers anymore, but if we do it, that would be a pretty sick bonus, wouldn't it? Speaking of the supporters, thank you to Aspirant Artist, Paper, Faye Penguin, Momentary Unicorn, Aurora the Puppy Moth, Sly, Nat, Marius, Yeenie, Worm Syrup, Rask, Ver, Beef, Bait, Sly again, Colorado Blue, Vaderson, Linky again, Blackjack, Fasoku, Sushion, and Malding Brick. Alright, I gotta go. When I do stuff like this, I'm not the kind of person to suggest something without doing it themselves. I said we shouldn't pre-order once before, and I haven't pre-ordered a game since. I said we should participate in more physical media, and I've been doing that. And I said we should make media enjoyment special again, so I'm going to go get a library card and rent some movies. Hell, I might even read, I guess. Anyway, bye. I'll see y'all next time.